Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Gail Carson. Welcome to Living Regret Free, a program that shows you how to live a better and more joyful life. As an added bonus, I invite you to listen to an introduction to my Mindset Matters program, which ties into this so well. Go to www.sobmindset.com. It's free, and I know you will enjoy it. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at gailcarson13@gmail.com or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter. Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Gail Carson, and I'm welcoming you to Living Regret Free. I want to also remind all of you to go to my YouTube channel, the Spunky Old Broad, and to go to my website, spunkyoldbroad.com. Take advantage of my store that's there for some interesting coffee mugs and t-shirts and leggings, and my SOB University, where I have my self-study online programs, and of course my Facebook group, Virtual SOB Club for Women 50 Plus. However, I have with me today a great interview. Her name is Yvette Taylor, and she is a best-selling author and the creator of EAM, the Energy Alignment Method, which is an internationally recognized complementary therapy. She's on a mission to change as many lives as possible, sharing EAM globally with over 50,000 plus people, 100 plus mentors who are trained to use the modality. As a multi-award winning transformational spiritual and business coach and an international best-selling author, having spent over 20 years teaching self-development in the UK and internationally, she has developed research studies with more than 17,000 plus people with astonishing results. Voted as one of the top 10 holistic therapists in the UK, winner of the Janie Lee Grace Platinum Award, as well as multiple awards for UK's best coaching and mentoring business, Shining Online, and for making an impact and being an inspiration to women in the UK. She has also been featured on international radio, Yoga Magazine, Spirit and Destiny Magazine, and High Spirit Magazine, and has shared the stage with people like Bruce Cryer, Bob Proctor, Bruce Lipton, Andy Dooley, Allie Brown, and Dr. Joanna Martin. And we have her with us today. So welcome, Yvette.
Wow, hello. Thank you. What a lovely welcome. That sounds like somebody else entirely. I was
It's
like,
always
who's
interesting
that?
when we're listening to ourselves. Tell us about why EAM is so different to other techniques or practices that people might put it in the same category.
That is such a big question. My own journey led me towards doing all of this, over the last 20 years. And I'm sure, like many people that are probably listening, I've tried literally everything. And I think one of the things that I found, also a lot of the sharebacks that we receive from people, is that it's it's unlike many traditional like talk therapies where you have to sit and talk it all out and describe everything that's happened and relive your past experiences. It's actually very quick in terms of finding what it is that's standing in your way and what's holding you back. We don't have to relive the pain and trauma. Nobody wants to re-traumatize themselves. No one wants to relive the things that have happened in the past. Everybody just wants to feel better, and move forward from that perspective. And I think probably one of the other biggest things is because we work in the world of energy, and when I say energy, I mean it from both the science and the spiritual perspective. So EAM is very grounded in neuroscience and quantum physics and fields, and years and years of research by amazing institutes. But we also talk about it from a more spiritual, esoteric perspective and bridge the two things together. So because we're working with energy, we're not just working with one aspect. Lots of people practice things like where it's just a mindset technique, or where it's just a breathing technique, or where it's just an emotional technique. Because we're working with energy, you can use EAM to work on all of those things. And when you resolve it from an energy space, it transforms everything on all levels rather than just one. So they're generally the things I think that most people sort of say they love when they find it for themselves. They're like, oh, this makes so much sense. It just finally makes so much sense because we create shifts in a very, very different way.
But how do you deal with people, I guess I'm going to include myself in there, uh, who are skeptical about energy work, which is really interesting because my son is really into it, or think that it's all woo woo. When I say something to him, he'll say, "Well, Mom, that's because," and then he goes through this whole thing, and I think, wow, he's so much more broadened than I am. So, how do you deal with people like me?
Yeah, do you know how many skeptical people we get that come into this? And
You get a
uh,
lot. Yeah.
and of course, and why wouldn't you? And that's such a lovely question because we've been taught, so many people, we've been taught that we are this, flesh, blood, and bone body, that we're some machine, and the only way to fix it is to stick pills in it or have a doctor tell us what's wrong with us or go and see a psychiatrist and sit on a couch and then they give you some medication at the end. We've been trained to believe that our body is just what we see. And the wonderful thing is now, because what I was just talking about with EAM, we talk about both the science and the spirit. There is so much research now, scientifically, peer-reviewed, journaled, about the power that we have from an energy perspective and the impact that our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions, our past experiences have on how we are showing up today, how we feel and what we're thinking and what's happening with our physical health. All of this research is now backing up things that many people would have previously described as woo-woo. When we think about many spiritual practices that have been talking about this world of energy and this, unseen force that we can't see that is enacting on our lives every day. Ayurvedic medicine, Chinese medicine, many Eastern philosophies are grounded in this, and they've been talking about it for thousands of years. But because of their language, which was thousands of years old, we talk about it, or we think that it's quite woo-woo, or we can't piece the bits of the glue together. But the bit that I love is that science is now actually showing all of the things that we previously thought were just spiritual woo-woo concepts are now actually true when we look at it through the quantum lens. And
So,
that
what do you
really
think, though, is
excites
the
me.
biggest thing holding people back? Is
From
it is
which
it the fact that it's new to us, old to other cultures, but new to
I
us?
could talk to you for hours about this. One part of it is one part of it is being disempowered themselves because we've very often given our power away, and I mean that we've given it away from a place of trust, not that we don't know any better, but because we've been brought up in a world where it's like you go to the doctor when you're sick, or you go to the psychiatrist when there's something wrong, or if you don't fit in this certain box there's something wrong with you. We've never been taught the power that we have. And so I think the biggest thing that holds people back is the lack of knowledge of who they are and how we actually work, how we function, how we interact with the world, how our emotions change our experience every day, how our thoughts impact our experience every day, and the impact that they have on your day-to-day life and your physical health and your relationships and everything that happens in your day-to-day life that we think is our problem or we think is our challenge all comes from something within our energy field, and we're just never taught that. And I think that's the biggest stumbling block. If people knew that, and that's the mission that we're on, if people knew that from such a young age, many of the problems that we see in our life wouldn't exist, because we'd understand that it's actually just something that could be resolved energetically before it becomes a big issue, or before it becomes a big health crisis.
Well, I use this term when I'm asking people, when I'm coaching them for where they want to go in life. So I'm going to ask you the same question.
Mm.
If you could wave a magic wand, what would you do?
How big is the wand? How big is the wand? Um, what would I do if I could wave a magic wand? I actually think it would be what I just said. I would share with everybody. I would want everyone in the world, everyone in the world to be born with or remember or be taught the power that we have to create our own transformation, and that whatever it is that we've got going on in our life can actually be changed. Just because we've been through an experience, it doesn't define who we are. I think that would be my magic wand, like waking
I
everybody
totally
up.
agree with you there, Yvette. I do,
Yeah.
we do need to take control over our own lives, and we do need to know that we can shape them, and we do need to know that we need to go to other people to help us and mentor us and so forth. And so, from that perspective, you're not way off from how I think, so that's
Oh,
okay.
good. Yay.
So, how does EAM, which is the energy alignment method, help me live regret free?
God, how many regrets. I love the name of your show, by the way, and I think so many people don't recognize the regrets that they have, because they've just passed it off or passed it away as, that is just how it is,
Or
and
they
that just
hold
means
on
it's
to
not.
them, Yvette, or they hold on.
Yeah.
That's
uh,
another thing.
it's huge. And this all ties in. The title of your show and the work that you do all ties in so beautifully to EAM, because the reason people have regrets, from my perspective, is they never made the decision that they had to take from a place of what I would call alignment, from a place of clarity. Usually, the regrets they have are because they had some fear or some doubt or some thought or some belief that it would be wrong or hurt somebody or not bring them the happiness, or they couldn't do it because dot dot dot. There was some reason or excuse that they gave themselves at the time that made making that decision seem justified. But actually, if they'd known EAM or any other tool out there that would help them get clarity about what they truly wanted, they would have made that decision and said yes to themselves instead of having said no to themselves. And so there's kind of two ways. There's the before and after. The EAM would help. If you've already got regrets, you can actually use the 5 steps of the process to let go of that hurt or that pain or that anger or frustration that you're feeling about the regrets that you have of the life not lived, or the what ifs and the questions that you're holding. But if you've got decisions to make now, let's not create any more regrets. Let's, discover how to use this for yourself and do the work now to bring yourself the clarity now to make the right decision, so that whatever you choose, it was a decision for yourself, and then there won't be any regrets with what you're doing moving forward, because you've made the decision from the best place. So, there's the before and the after bit. I think that's how I think about it.
So what is your best client story of someone that uses EAM?
God, I've got thousands. Honestly, we've, it's been a very mad and crazy journey sharing EAM the last few years.
You're in the UK now, is that correct, Yvette?
Yeah, mainly the UK. We're definitely spreading around the world now. We've got lots
No,
of
but what
people.
I'm saying is you guys have gone through almost as much as we have with the COVID and so forth, because
Yes.
every time my landlord happens to be based in London, and I know he's first you're shutting down, then you're not, then you're shutting down, then you're not.
Yeah.
So, let's talk about what is your best client story. I mean, because I'm sure you've got a lot of them.
Yeah, so many. And that's the thing, there have been so many. I think my best one's probably, God, that's so hard to choose. Probably one of my clients, Laura. I was actually sharing her story yesterday. She went through the unfortunate experience of losing her husband through suicide. He chose to take his own life because he had, ironically, the show that we're talking about had actually created so many regrets in his life. He'd made some big decisions about work and life and business, and ended up pulling himself into a life of drink and drugs because he was trying to free himself from how he was feeling, and he honestly didn't know how to. Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet Nick beforehand, but we did meet Laura. And I remember Laura coming into one of our live events, and she said it was a 3-day event. She sat so quietly for a couple of days, just really didn't say anything. We had no idea what was going on. And she shared her story with everybody, and where she'd come from. And it was just her and her daughter last year trying to and so Laura's journey, first of all, was really doing work on herself, all of her fears and regrets and frustrations that she hadn't listened, that she'd ignored some of the things that he'd said and how he was feeling, and that they hadn't got help for him sooner, and that she wasn't there, on the day when he chose to go. She'd gone out, and he did it while she was out. And she had an awful lot of stuff to move through for herself. But in doing the work on her, she then actually started sharing EAM with Ruby, her little girl, as well. And so the two of them went on this journey of together.
Yvette, you're fading in and out. I don't know what's happening there, but you're fading in and out.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, but you do fade in and out, so I don't know what's happening on your end. But anyway, Joe will try to clear it up, but I don't think we got the whole story there, so maybe start from the beginning of that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll start from the beginning. So my favorite client story, or not my favorite, my most memorable, I suppose, is Laura. So Laura came to us initially 2 years ago, and she'd been through a journey of having lost her husband, Nick, who had unfortunately chosen to take his life. And we met Laura some 2 years on from everything that she'd been through. There was Laura and her beautiful little daughter, Ruby, who had been through such a traumatic scenario and situation for the two of them in losing her husband at the time. And her biggest frustrations, of which there were many, was that she wasn't able to do the work to help him before he decided to not be here anymore. And when we met Laura, it was actually really about her letting go of her pain and her anger and her regrets and frustrations, first of all. And then she actually started sharing EAM with Ruby, with her daughter as well. So they ended up going on this beautiful journey together to let go of all of the questions and all of the pain and all of the anger that they'd been feeling, and all of the such mixed emotions that they'd been through in terms of losing Nick. And now, through the other side of it, it's not to say that they've forgotten any of what has happened, but what they've actually been able to take from it has been so many lessons. And what they're now doing together, both Ruby, her little daughter, and Laura, are actually creating a journey and written a book for other families, especially children who have been through the same kind of loss, because they found that there wasn't actually a lot of help and support out there. And actually, she's now on an amazing mission to help other families, children and parents that have been through similar losses. And for me, it's just seeing the transformation that's possible, going through something so awful that none of us would ever wish to experience, to now having gone through it, dealt with it for herself, and now being able to inspire.
Yeah, to support, to have somebody go through all of that and then learn from it and come out the other side and then take that and do good for other people. I mean, that's what it really is all about. That's the key. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a wonderful story, and I'm glad you chose that to tell us.
Thank you.
So, give us an example of using the 5 steps of EAM to release.
Where would you like to start? Well, seeing as we've got the regrets, I suppose, is the theme of your show. There are so many different ways to apply these 5 steps. I think that's the thing to remember. It's a really, really, really simple process. So I'm just going to ask if anyone's listening just to follow along with me as I guide you on this. It's going to take me longer to explain it than it does for you to actually do this, but I'll share with you steps 3, 4, and 5 of the process, so you can just experience this for yourself, or perhaps practice it after the show. So step 3 of the process is I want you to just tune into yourself and think about something that, is maybe something that's upset you or frustrated you, wound you up, or maybe something that you've regretted from your past. And usually when we think of something, we have some kind of physiological response. So it might be a heaviness on our chest, or it might be a tightness in our throat. It might be something in our stomach. It might just feel like a dark cloud that comes over you whenever you think about it. So step 3 is called you experience, and that's really just to understand how that thing is impacting or influencing you and your energy right now. So first of all, just tune into what that feels like. And I don't know, Gail, if you want to, you don't have to share what this is, but maybe just try this on something that might be going on for you. And then simply all we do then is with step 4, there's a transformational statement where we're reprogramming our brain, our mind, our energy field to let go of that thing that we've been holding on to. So the release statement is always the same. I'll try and say it slowly so that people might be able to write this down. It would be, I'm ready to release this. And then you fill in the blank with whatever you found at step 3. So it would be, I'm ready to release this heaviness in my heart, or this pain in my back, or whatever it might be. I release this from my energy in all forms, on all levels, at all points in time. And you would repeat that statement 3 times until you usually feel a shift. Sometimes you might have to repeat it a few more times, but what that does is actually creates this shift, this change in your mind and in your energy. Once you've felt it lift, then you would move on to step 5. And step 5 is where we really get to have fun. And this is actually the bit that's often missing from most processes. Lots of amazing processes out there that do the release work, but they don't then reprogram what it is that you want to think, feel, or experience. So once you've removed the resistance or let go of that belief or what you're feeling, then you do the reprogramming with step 5, which is simply the opposite. So I'm ready to allow, or I'm ready to receive whatever it is you want. So if we were experiencing regret, you might say something like, I'm ready to allow myself to be free to make choices that bring me joy and love and happiness. I allow this into my energy in all forms, on all levels, at all points in time. And we will say that statement 3 times, usually with your hands up above your head, because this allows it down into your energy field. I can actually feel that now, even just saying this. It's so profound. I really wish we had more time to do it justice.
I do too. As a matter of fact, I was going to tell you, we have just about 4 minutes left. So I want to have people know how to get in touch with you, Yvette. How is the best time? What is the best way to reach you?
Best thing to do, if you want to, you can find our website, www.energyalignmentmethod.com, or can I share my free 8-day program? Would that be okay to share as well?
Of course.
So we've got a wonderful journey where I can guide you through this actually over 8 days, called Fear to Love. And over 8 days, we take you on a journey of releasing emotions like fear and stress and overwhelm and anger and depression and frustration, all the way through to being able to experience love and joy and happiness. And actually, that's the program that we did our research studies on, which had the amazing results. And it really is an incredible program. It's completely free to join. And it's www.fear2, as in number 2, fear, number 2, love.com/join now. So that would be the best place for you to begin. And you can come and experience the 5 steps of EAM and put them into practice on shifting some of this stuff that might be standing in the way and holding you back.
And so the first word is
fear to love.
So fear. Okay.
Fear to love. Yeah.
All right. Fear to love. Okay. Folks, I hope that you've benefited from what Yvette has said. She's coming to us all the way from England, and she's got this network around the world of people who are teaching this and doing this. And, this is something, if you're feeling like your life is not complete, if you're feeling that you have regrets that you haven't been able to lose, if you are fearful of what has happened to you in the past or what may happen to you in the future, this is something you should do. Check out her site, because I think it's really important. And she has a Facebook page. She, it's EAM, Energy Alignment Method. And golly, I mean, there are just so many things I think that you can learn from her. So, Yvette, we have 1 minute left. Is there anything that we haven't covered for you?
Not at all. Just for me, it would always be a reminder to everyone that whatever has happened in your life, whatever you're experiencing, particularly with what we've been through this last year, we all have the power to change our life, what we feel, what we experience every single day. And that's just the most important thing for us to remember. It can change.
It sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for being with us, Yvette. Across the pond, we love you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Gail.
And we wish you only the continued success that you've had in the future.
Thank you, Gail. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed today's show. I choose my guests carefully, so if you have someone you'd like me to interview, please drop me a line at gailcarson13@gmail.com. In the meantime, check out my intro program, Mindset Matters, at www.sobmindset.com. See you next week.